What's up, everyone? We're going to be going through the best NBA player props on PrizePicks today. Now, don't forget to like this video, as it does let me know to continue to give you free picks every day. So make sure to like this video, clicking that button down below. And if we get 550 likes, I will do another video for tomorrow. Now, I did want to show you the results from yesterday's picks from my exclusive Discord group. And as you guys see, we actually got 21 picks correct, which was absolutely insane. Now, a lot of you comment wanting to see how many I got wrong, and I thought I'd show you in today's video. We only got 2 picks wrong and got 21 right, which is a 97% win rate. Yes, guys, you heard that right. 97% win rate. So we're at a huge hot streak, but if you want to get a 97% win rate and get 21 picks right like me, win more bets and receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you could access the exclusive Discord and meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon. Should be linked down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure to join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $750 just yesterday. Another member who won $600 for the 6th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members, the link will be in the description. So go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group. And I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel the best bets and props. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. So quick shout out to the Bake TV who said, yes sir, let's keep the streak alive. And shouts out to Jacob Rodriguez Q1M who said yer. So shouts out to them, and if you do want to win a shout out in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below with this one and like it, and you can be in the running to win a shout out in the next one. Alright, so let's get straight into the first pick. And when it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. And pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. So the first pick we're going to be talking about is none other than Jarrett Allen, and this one is for 11.5 rebounds and assists, and this one is for more. Now, looking at Jarrett Allen, we have actually seen him go on the over in 3 out of the last 5 games. Looking at those 5 games, we see on January 31st, faced off against Phoenix Suns, had 10 rebounds and assists there. February 2nd, faced off against Portland Trail Blazers, had 22 rebounds and assists in that matchup. February 5, faced off against LA Clippers, had 14 rebounds and assists. February 8th, faced off against Sacramento Kings, had 11 rebounds and assists. Then 14 rebounds and assists against Denver Nuggets on February 10th. So really interesting to see. Obviously, as I mentioned, he has gone on the over in 3 out of the last 5, but his average over the last 5 is also 14.2. So it is on the over as well. And even the times that he has missed this line, he's gotten very close, which is what we like to see. What we also do know is that Jarrett Allen and the Cleveland Cavaliers have themselves a really good matchup against the Washington Wizards. Now, looking at where both of these teams do lie, obviously the trade deadline did just pass, and Cavaliers have definitely made some big additions. But Cleveland still do rank 4th in the Eastern Conference, and even after the trade deadline, they have been able to keep those wins alive because they actually have a record of 33 wins and also 21 losses. So that's a great record there. They also have a 61.1% win percentage. They're also 17-11 from home, 16-10 from away, and are currently on a 4-game win streak. So really interesting to see there. Obviously, their win streak is still very much alive, and they are hoping to continue to push. Now, when we look at their matchup, which is Washington Wizards, however, Wizards unfortunately haven't really done that great of a job as of lately because they come in at the 14th spot in the Eastern Conference. Now, they have a record of 14 wins and 38 losses. That's a 26.9% win percentage there. On top of that, they are 9-18 from home, 5-20 from away, and are currently on a 2-game losing streak. But it definitely has been a tough time for the Washington Wizards. And looking at Wizards and looking at where they do rank when it comes to rebounds and assists allowed. Starting off with assists allowed, we see that they rank 29th, actually allowing 28.7 assists per game. They do allow a lot of assists there. And then rebounds allowed, they also rank 30th, as they allow 47.7 rebounds per game. So really interesting to see there. Obviously, looking at Washington Wizards, we have definitely seen him go on the over, time and time again. And now that they face off against Wizards, who do rank really poor at rebounds and assists, we definitely see him going on the over in this one. Now, when we actually look at Jarrett Allen and also Cleveland against Washington, Washington are a little bit more of a faster paced team. And because of that, what we have seen from Washington so far is that they do a fantastic job at speeding up the pace of teams. And that's what we are expecting from this matchup. So we could see Jarrett Allen definitely have a little bit more usage rate out there. Because as we always mention, higher pace leads to more volume, and more volume leads to more opportunity to rebound and also play make. So that's where we definitely see it happening here. When we look at Washington as well, they do a really poor job at also restricting rebounds and assists to the center position. So it definitely does take us, even a little bit more when it comes to us liking the over for it. Now, looking at Jarrett Allen facing off against the Wizards in the past, they have actually faced off against each other once so far this season. Now, this was actually last year, but 7th of November, they faced off against each other. He had 26 minutes in that game, 16 points, 14 rebounds, and 3 assists there, and also had 2 steals and 1 block. So that's really great to see. Not only that, but what we also did see is that he got 14 rebounds and 3 assists. So just on rebounds itself, he actually did hit it on the over. So that's why coming into this next one, we do very, very much like the over for it. We see a lot of value there. We should definitely see a similar sort of outcome like it was in this matchup right here. Now, when we look at what the pros do have to say, now if we actually go over to rebounds and assists here, obviously we have him for 11.5, but what we actually see here from the pros that they have him for 12.5. So they have him for a slightly different line, but what we still do see is that they have him favored for the over, even though, they have him for a higher line. So that actually gives us even more confidence. The line actually at 12.5 is a minus 141 for the over, which I think is fantastic, while the under is only minus 114. So that really does work out in our favor coming into this matchup for sure. Now, when we look at the projection, however, they have him projected for 11.1 rebounds and assists. So it is a little bit different there in that sense because, technically that is for the under for us, but we do like the over. So we are going against the projection here, but we are agreeing with what the bookies are saying. Now, when we look at the last 15 games, yes, we have seen Jarrett Allen struggle a little bit. He's only gone on the over in 26% of these matchups, so definitely not a lot. But as I mentioned before, he has faced off against much tougher teams as of lately, and with a new trade that has definitely changed a lot of things for this team, it's definitely led to a higher usage rate for Jarrett Allen as of lately, and we should see that continue on into this next game, especially against a team like Wizards who do struggle at restricting rebounds, at restricting assists. So we should see Jarrett Allen be able to take advantage of it. So for that reason, definitely keep an eye out for the over for this one. So Jarrett Allen 11.5 rebounds and assists, 4 more, I think is a fantastic pick. So getting into the next one, we're going to be talking about none other than VJ Edgecomb, and this one is for 19.5 points and assists, and this one actually is for less. Now, looking at VJ Edgecomb, we have seen him go on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. Looking at those 5 games, you see on February 3rd, faced off against the LA Clippers, had 12 points and assists there. February 4th, faced off against the Golden State Warriors, had 32 points and assists in that matchup. Then had 21 points and assists against LA Lakers on February 6th. Then 7 points and assists against Phoenix Suns on February 8th. Then against Portland Trailblazers on February 10th, had 14 points and assists there. So we have definitely seen VJ Edgecomb go on the under more than he's gone on the over. And what we also do see is that his average over the last 5 is also 17.2. So it is definitely going to be an exciting matchup there. But looking at VJ Edgecomb and the Philadelphia 76ers, they have themselves a really good matchup against none other than the New York Knicks. Now, it is definitely going to be an exciting game between both of these teams. Looking at where both of these teams do lie, starting off with Philadelphia. Philadelphia do actually come in at the 6th spot in the Eastern Conference. They've actually done a fantastic job having 30 wins and 23 losses so far. They have a 56.6% win percentage. They're also 15 and 13 from home, 15 and 10 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. And they face off against the Knicks, who do rank 3rd when it comes to the Eastern Conference. They have a record of 34 wins and 20 losses. That's a 63% win percentage there. 21 and 7 from home, 12 and 13 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak as well. So Looking at both of these teams, both are top teams in the Eastern Conference, and obviously Knicks are ranked just a little bit better. But coming into this matchup, we do also know that Philly and New York Knicks is going to be a great matchup. But looking at Knicks defensively, what we also do see is that Knicks do rank when it comes to points allowed. They do actually rank 8th, allowing 112.3 points per game. So they do allow a very, very small amount of points. And then looking at assists allowed, we also find that the Knicks rank 5th, allowing 24.8 assists per game. So Knicks are a great defensive team, and I think all of us definitely did know that. You know, Knicks not only are a great defensive team, but they do a fantastic job at restricting points and assists to the guard position. And we definitely are expecting the under for someone like VJ Edgecomb coming into this game. When we look at someone like VJ as well, especially, you know, when it comes to Philly, we do know that New York Knicks do play a much slower pace game than compared to actually Philadelphia. And for that reason, we have seen time and time again, New York Knicks do a great job at slowing down faster paced teams. And that's what we are expecting coming into this game. We are expecting Knicks to really put the pressure and also slow them down as much as they can. And as we've always mentioned, slower pace leads to less volume, and less volume leads to less opportunity to score, rebound, and also in this case play make. So for that reason, we definitely see that pace being a big issue, unfortunately, for actually Philly. Now, when we actually look at, you know, VJ Edgecomb and Philly facing off against Knicks in the past, they have actually faced off against each other already 3 times, actually. So looking at those 3 games we saw on the 19th of December, so this was last year, he had 30 minutes of game time, had 23 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists in that matchup. So he actually did a pretty decent job there. Then what we did also see on the 3rd, faced off against each other on the 3rd of January, had 26 points, 2 rebounds, and 4 assists, while also getting 2 steals and 2 blocks. And we actually played 41 minutes in that game. And then most recently, on the 24th of January, this is as of recent, Knicks have definitely made some massive adjustments. They've made some trade deadline moves, and it definitely did help because we actually did see VJ Edgecomb play 39 minutes and had 14 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists there. So he did actually go on the under in that most recent game, and that's a big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation here. As we've always mentioned, teams progress, and I do believe that Knicks after this trade deadline, and even just, you know, before as well, we also just have seen Knicks really amp up their defense, and it's due to players coming back from injuries, also some trades they've made, and overall just the game plan has definitely changed for Knicks, and it has definitely led to a very great defensive team. And that's what we are expecting the pressure to be on for someone like VJ Edgecomb, especially from the Knicks. Now, looking at, you know, the line that they do have him for here, obviously we have him for 19.5. They have him for 16.5. So this is a very different line. So I think this definitely does show that there is a lot or a bigger advantage for our pick at 19.5 since they actually have him for 16. So it really does show that, you know, we are getting him for some great value on PrizePicks at 19.5. Now, when we actually look at the projection, they have him projected for 18.7. Now, this is pretty interesting because obviously the projection, it does say here for the over, but since we have him for 19.5 on PrizePicks, technically that is the under for us. So we are actually agreeing with what the projection is saying here because 18.7 is actually the under for us, which is why we do very much like the under for this one. When we look at also, and when we also adjust the line, first of all, at 19.5, over the last 15 games, we have seen him go on the under more than he's gone on the over. You know, roughly around 75% of those games have actually been on the under, which definitely does give us, you know, kind of more leeway to like the under more. So for that reason, we are definitely expecting the under for it. We agree with the projection. We also are agreeing and following what and how the last 15 games have gone, and that's why we do like the under for this one. So VJ Edgecomb, 16.5 points and assists for less, I think is a fantastic pick. All right, so let's get straight to the next one. And getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Jrue Holiday for 19.5 points and assists, and this one is for more. Now, looking at Jrue Holiday, we have seen him go on the over in 4 out of the last 5 games. Looking at those 5 games, we do see on January 31st, faced off against the New York Knicks, had 9 points and assists there. February 4th, faced off against Phoenix Suns, had 20 points and assists in that matchup. Then February 7th, faced off against Memphis Grizzlies, had 27 points and assists there. Then 25 points and assists against Memphis Grizzlies on February 8th, again off a back-to-back. And then February 10th, faced off against Philadelphia 76ers and had 20 points and assists there. So definitely very interesting to see. Now, obviously, looking at Jrue Holiday and the Portland Trail Blazers, they have themselves a really good matchup against none other than the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, it is definitely going to be an exciting game there. Looking at where both of these teams do lie, starting off with actually Portland Trail Blazers. Portland do actually come in a pretty interesting position because they actually rank in the Western Conference 9th. They have a record of 26 wins and 28 losses in the Western Conference and have a 48.1% win percentage. Now, they are 16-13 from home, 10-15 from away, and are currently on a 3-game win streak. So really, really interesting to see there. Now, obviously, looking at Jrue Holiday, we do also know that the Portland Trail Blazers have themselves a really interesting matchup against Minnesota. And then Minnesota Timberwolves do rank 6th in the Western Conference. So they're also in the Western Conference. They have 33 wins and 22 losses. That's a 60% win percentage there. They're also 18-10 from home, 15-12 from away, and are currently on a 1-game win streak. So really, really interesting to see there. Now, coming into this matchup, we do also know when it comes to Jrue Holiday, we do actually see that he faces off against a Timberwolves team that do rank 12th when it comes to points allowed, actually allowing 114.9 points per game. And then assists allowed, we find that the Timberwolves do rank 11th, allowing 26.1 assists per game. So pretty interesting to see there. Now, obviously, looking at someone like Jrue Holiday, we have definitely seen him go, on the over quite consistently. And the reason why we still do like the over coming into this matchup against Minnesota is that we do see that Minnesota do a really poor job at restricting points and assists to the guard position. And for someone like Jrue Holiday, we definitely see him being able to take advantage of this and going on the over here. When we actually look at, Portland Trail Blazers and Minnesota, the matchup here, we also do know that Portland have been playing Jrue Holiday quite a bit, and not just playing him in a sense of, having him have a lot more minutes out there, but his role for this team has definitely changed, and he definitely does have a much bigger role. Obviously, trade deadline did pass, a couple of teams made some different moves, but Jrue Holiday in himself has definitely had a huge increase in his usage rate, and it definitely has shown in these most recent games. And that's why coming into this next one, we do very much think it's going to, happen again with this matchup against Minnesota. Now, both are pretty fast-paced teams, so we definitely see that being a huge factor here. So coming into this one, we do very much like the, over for this situation for someone like Jrue Holiday. Now, when we look at his matchup against Minnesota in the past, we did see them face off against each other on the 22nd of actually October. So this was a while back, but he still did play. He had 33 minutes of game time, had 14 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, and also had 3 steals. So he actually did a great job there. When you look at the points and assists, he did actually go over in that matchup against Minnesota. So we are definitely expecting him to do even a better job coming into this next one, because as we've mentioned, Jrue Holiday's usage rate has gone through the roof. So we definitely see that happening. He was able to do it in October, so we should see him be able to do it once again, coming into this one. So for that reason, I do very much like the over for this situation here for someone like Jrue Holiday. Now, when we look at actually what the pros do have to say about it, now this is pretty interesting to see, because if we actually skip over 2 points and assists, we do actually find that they have him for 20.5. So they have him for a slightly different line here, but what we can definitely see is that they have him as the bookies show, they do have him favored slightly for the over. Now it isn't, a massive difference, but it is still slightly over, or more favored for the over. So that definitely does work out, in our favor, because the fact that we are able to get him for 19.5, it definitely does show quite a lot there. So that's why coming into this next one, we do very, very much like the over for this one. When we look at the projection, they have him projected for 17.4 points and assists. So they do have him projected for the under actually coming into this game. We are liking the over. So we are actually going against the projection here. But coming into this matchup, we do very, very much like the over for this situation for someone like Jrue Holiday. Now, when we look at the last 15 games, we have actually seen him go on the over in around 46% of these matchups. So it is as close as possible to 50-50 as it can be. But what you actually do see is that the times he has gone on the over has been much, much recent. So there definitely has been a change of pace, a change of game plan for the Trailblazers, and it definitely has led to, Jrue Holiday definitely getting a lot more, usage rate out there, and it definitely has paid dividends for them because they are currently on a 3-game win streak as well. So that's why coming into this next one, we do very, very much like the over for someone like Jrue Holiday. As we mentioned before, when it comes to the trade deadline, it definitely did change a lot of teams greatly. That definitely does play a huge factor here. So for that reason, definitely keep an eye out for the over for someone like Jrue Holiday coming into this game. We also do know that Matisse Thybulle, Chris Murray, Shaedon Sharpe, and Damian Lillard are all expected to be out for this game. Now, anything can change, but as of right now, they are also expected to be out. So that does give Jrue Holiday that little extra push as well. So Jrue Holiday, 19.5 points and assists, 4 more, I think is a fantastic pick. All right, so let's get straight into the next pick. And getting into the next one, we're going to be talking about John Collins. And this one is for PRA, or points, rebounds, and assists, for 20.5. And this one actually is for less. Now, looking at John Collins, we have actually seen him go on the under in 1 out of the last 5 games. Looking at those 5 games, you see on February 3rd, faced off against Philadelphia 76ers, had 24 points, rebounds, and assists there. February 5th, faced off against Cleveland Cavaliers, had 26 points, rebounds, and assists. February 7th, faced off against Sacramento Kings, had 30 points and rebounds and assists. Then 19 PRA against Minnesota Timberwolves on February 9th. Then February 11th, faced off against Houston Rockets and had 26 points, rebounds, and assists there. So really, really interesting to see. Obviously, looking at John Collins, we have definitely seen him go on the under in 1 out of the last 5, but his average over the last 5 is also 25. Now, looking at John Collins and the LA Clippers, they have themselves a really, really good matchup against none other than the Houston Rockets. Now, looking at where both of these teams do lie, starting off with the Clippers, Clippers do come in at the 10th spot in the Western Conference. They actually started off much lower early on in the season, but they have been able to claw their way back into a position where they could get into the top 8. But they currently have 25 wins and 28 losses. That's a 47.2% win percentage there. On top of that, they are 13-11 from home, 12-17 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So really, really interesting to see there. Now, they do have themselves a really good matchup against none other than the Houston Rockets. And looking at Houston, they do rank 3rd in the Western Conference and have a record of 33 wins and 19 losses. So that's a 63.5% win percentage there. On top of that, they are 18-6 from home, 15-13 from away, and are currently on a 2-game win streak. So really, really interesting to see for both of these teams. Obviously, Rockets do rank in that playoff picture in that top 8, while you do see Clippers out of that top 8, so it is definitely going to be an intense game there. But looking at where Houston Rockets do rank when it comes to points, rebounds, and assists, starting off with points allowed, we do see that the Houston Rockets do come in at the 4th spot, and they actually allow 109.7 points per game. Now, they are one of the 4 teams that do allow less than 110 points, so they are definitely in a very elite category. On top of that, they also rank 2nd when it comes to assists allowed, only allowing 24.5 assists per game, so they don't really allow a lot there. And also rebounds allowed, they also don't allow a lot because they only allow 39.9 rebounds per game, which ranks them 2nd. So they are one of 2 teams as well that do allow less than 40 rebounds. So Houston Rockets have been a great defensive team. It is one of the reasons why they find themselves in such a good position when it comes to defending points, rebounds, and assists. So, when we look at Houston Rockets, we do actually know that they also do a fantastic job at restricting the big men from points, rebounds, and assists as well. Now, Houston Rockets, they did actually face off against each other recently, which is in that most recent game. So this is a back-to-back for John Collins. Now, he actually went on the over in that one. He was able to get 26, but that's one of the reasons why we do like the under for this. There will be times where players beat their outliers or beat their more probable outcome, and we definitely see that being one of those games. Now, coming into this one, we do very, very much like this situation, because what we do also see when it comes to John Collins is that we now believe that this line is a little bit overinflated, since he did do well in that most recent one, but now we do believe there's a lot more value actually to go on the under. So for that reason, we do very, very much like the under for this situation here. See a lot of value there to go on the under as well. But when we look at John Collins facing off against Houston Rockets in the past, now, we have seen them face off against each other quite frequently. We did see them face off on the 11th of December. Actually had 24 minutes of game time and had 9 points, 0 rebounds, and 2 assists there. So we did actually go under on that matchup. Then we also did see, looking at, their second matchup against each other, which was, not too long after that on the 23rd of December, so same month, had 29 minutes played and had 13 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists there. So he actually did pretty decent in that one. And then in the most recent matchup, had 31 minutes on the 10th and had 17 points, 8 rebounds, and 1 assist. So we definitely do very much like the under for this situation here. As we mentioned before, when it comes to John Collins in that most recent game, yes, he did go on the over, but what we tend to see with back-to-backs is that, obviously teams adjust, and when they adjust, we could definitely see a very, very different Houston Rockets team, in a sense that they could have a very different sort of game plan or defensive game plan coming into this game. So we definitely see that being a big, big factor here. Now, when we look at PRA for what the pros do have to have him for, they have him for 19.5, so they have him for a slightly lower line than us. Now because of that, we can't really compare what the bookies are saying there, as they do have him for actually even -137 for both over and under. But what we can look at is that the projection that they do have for him is 19.2. Now this really stands out to us because at 19.2, that really does signify an under, and it also does signify an under for our line as well, as we have him for 20.5. So that's a big, big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation here. Now, when we look at someone like John Collins as well coming into this game, we do also see, looking at those last 15 games, yes, he has done a fantastic job. Now, he has only gone on the under in 40% of those matchups, but as I've always mentioned, matchups, that's what's most important. And with a matchup like this against Houston, we are expecting Houston to make massive adjustments, which could definitely lead him to the under. So for that reason, John Collins, 20.5 points, rebounds, and assists for less, I think is a fantastic pick.